right, T. Here we is.
It's a little bit different today.
Ooh. Top of the morning to you or top of the evening to you, whichever it is.
Whatever day you're listening to this.
Whichever day you find yourself in. It is probably Monday, the 27th of September.
Mm-hmm.
All of the games have finished for the day here on I guess, Sunday is when we're recording this.
Mm-hmm.
And lots has happened. Obviously, we just finished watching Sunday Night Football. Wow.
Yeah,
crazy.
crazy.
I think the first and only appropriate way to start it is just by saying wow.
Yeah, crazy game. I mean, 49ers just gave the Packers too much time on the clock. Mm-hmm. By the way, we're joined here with Luke Rogers, great friend of the show.
What's up, everyone?
Yes.
If you are listening on any platform worldwide or watching it on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was crazy. That game was just too crazy. Brandon Ayuk is back.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yes, sir. I mean, I traded for him in a couple leagues. He was definitely a trade target. For you, he was one of your trade targets this week. So that's looking like it's working out.
Yeah, I started him in a couple leagues this week. I had a feeling, I had an inkling. I'm pretty sure he finished higher than Debo. If I'm not mistaken. So my inkling was right.
You got the touchdown, so Debo dropped a lot of passes tonight.
They struggled with drop passes today.
Yeah, he did. Hey, we're going to talk about the week, but I just want to quickly talk about tomorrow night's game. Cowboys, I believe it's Eagles at Cowboys.
Yeah.
Or is it Cowboys at Eagles? Which one is it?
Well, I can definitely find that out for you. But it's all same thing. We just know the Eagles and Cowboys are playing.
Do you guys have anyone in this game? I personally am facing Dak Prescott in 3 leagues, so I really need him to just be average. What about you guys?
Yeah, I've got a lot of stock. I've got Dak. I've got Amari Cooper. I've got CeeDee Lamb, and I've got Miles Sanders.
You got everyone.
Yeah, and Hurts. I've got Jalen Hurts as well across all my leagues. Yeah,
across all your leagues. Yeah, I'm also the same with Luke. I have CeeDee. I have Zeke. I also have Jalen Hurts, and I actually have Dallas Goedert. So I need Goedert to do something special. Actually, I already won that league, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, I'm excited to watch the game either way.
I agree. All right, let's give quick game predictions here. Obviously, both teams come in at 1-1. Mm-hmm. Whoever wins this will be leading the NFC East.
Eagles at Cowboys, by the way.
Eagles at Cowboys. I'll go first here. I feel like this is a Cowboys win. I think the Eagles defense is better than I originally believed, but the injuries have started to pile up. I see this going 28-14. So I see the Cowboys winning this one pretty easily, and my MVP is going to be Amari Cooper. What about you guys?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the Eagles' injuries will be a bit too much, even though the defense is legit, but also just how potent Cowboys' offense is. I think that will be enough to carry them over the line. I think it'll be a shootout. I think the Cowboys will win it 35-28.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Eagles side of the ball. I think they actually have an okay offense, the better defense, clearly. So I think they actually have the upper hand on the defensive side of the ball. So I do believe they win. I do believe it will be a relatively high-scoring game. So I would say the 30s, so maybe like a 35-28, maybe around there. I feel pretty confident saying that.
And your MVP, who was it?
MVP probably has to be Hurts.
Okay. All right, I like it. All right, well, we don't have any sound effects or any jazzy stuff for you today, but let's just get straight to what we want to talk about, which is who was cash and who was trash. This week brought a whole new group of cash, which is good. More, specifically Josh Allen. Finally. Some people were a little bit worried about him.
Yeah.
I think we were just like, hey, he faced some good defenses. And unfortunately for me, Washington does not look like a good defense at this time.
Yeah.
Puts up a really, really good game. 4 touchdowns through the air and another touchdown on the ground, finishing with 5 total touchdowns. This is what we expected when you drafted him probably in the 3rd round this year of your drafts.
Yeah, 100%. You wanted him to kind of excel and do this. So I'm excited for Josh Allen, which is crazy is because you expected this Washington football defense to be better than expected as well.
Yeah.
I guess
Trust me, as a Washington fan, I definitely expected more.
I guess just the front 4 to do a little bit better and like have some pressure on Josh Allen. Just didn't feel like that was the case today.
Yeah, I agree. Am I the only one who has Josh Allen in a league?
I've got him in one.
I don't have.
Felt
Josh
good
Allen
to start him today, didn't it?
It did indeed, yeah.
You know who didn't feel good to start was definitely Kyler, but we can talk about that later.
What'd you say?
I don't say Kyler wasn't a good start. It didn't feel like a good start, but we'll talk about that later.
You feel really good about that one, hey?
I do. The homie.
Great. You're the only one who gets upset when we bring up the name Kyler. No. It's a triggering point for you.
Cockroach.
I was going to say in 6-point touchdown formats, Josh Allen finishes with 45 points, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert has a nice bounce back game as well against Kansas City, and they get the W. What a game that was.
It was a great game. Such a good game.
Obviously, we're going to talk about Mike Williams here on later, but it looks like Herbert is very comfortable with the weapons that he has, and looks like there's a big season ahead for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was balling out. I know KC, I think they led the league in yards given per attempt, if I'm not correct. But he was just spreading the ball out. Eckler got some, Mike Williams got some, Keenan Allen got some. He looked like he was on fire today. It was the Herbert that we saw last season for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely love Herbie today. I mean, I think everyone's valuable. I think I said it coming into the season before as well, that I think the Chargers can finish 14-3 if I'm not mistaken, and they were going to split with the Chiefs, and they won their first game so far. So hopefully maybe they can sweep them, but that's really too much to ask.
Yeah,
yeah. We'll see if that's possible. Definitely, they look like a very good team. Matthew Stafford finishes as a quarterback 3 on the week. Had a really good game with 4 touchdowns against that Tampa Bay defense, which is definitely banged up in the secondary.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone else really stood out to me necessarily. Tom Brady still had a good game, even though he only threw 1 touchdown. He still ran for a touchdown. Still a good game. Still a guy that hopefully you started. Yeah. Let's go to the running backs and talk about who was the cash running backs. Najee Harris,
come on,
in a losing effort, catches 14 balls.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh, on 19 targets. If your wide receiver 1 had 14 catches on 102 yards, you would probably be happy with that alone.
100%. Yeah. 100%. I think Najee is the answer. They just don't know how to utilize him.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't work as far as like for the team though.
No. And that's what I'm saying. Like they obviously Deontay was out. Juju got hurt that game. Yeah. But it's clear it feels like he's the most talented player on that team, and Big Ben is just forcing the throw.
Yeah.
Every time Najee has a ball on the floor, it's such a positive gain. Whether it's not all the time, don't get me wrong. It's not like he's getting
my guy had 14 carries for 40 yards, so let's back that up.
I know. It's not a positive game, but like if you do utilize him in the pass game, he knows how to get space and create. Like he knows how to use that space. When he catches the ball. So continue to use him in the right way.
Yeah, and I think it's actually good news for Harris owners that Big Ben is looking just so like painful to watch. Yeah. Like he's not moving around in the pocket. He looks like he can't throw the deep ball. And now with Juju, I don't know what the injury status is on Juju, but with him and Deontay out, I mean, I think the ceiling at least for Harris is huge.
Yeah. Quite high. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely a big ceiling for him. I mean, he's not going to get 14 receptions. He's not going to get 19 targets. He's not even going to get 10 targets a game. But the good thing is that there will be targets. It's probably going to be more around the 5 to 7, but that's still very good for a running back on your team. Yeah. Kareem Hunt was the running back to own over there in Cleveland, which is interesting.
I mean,
Both had relatively even touches, but Kareem Hunt was just more efficient and through the air was more effective as well.
yeah, he also found the end zone there as well. I mean, the game was weird, like they started off shaky, but then they found themselves. But the Bears offense never, had a rhythm, but the defense had some sort of rhythm at times. It was weird. It was a weird game. But yeah, Kareem Hunt. Yeah. I know you have Kareem Hunt.
Hey, yeah. I actually, because of Dalvin's late game, when we got the news that he was unlikely to play, I took Dalvin out and put Kareem in.
Yeah.
And at first I was really nervous about that because Chicago's defense is nothing to scoff at. But I mean, he came up big. He looked really good, especially catching the ball from Baker. And yeah, I mean, like, who can complain about that? 27.
I think a big part of that as well that went in your favor if you owned Kareem Hunt was the fact that the Bears' offensive line could literally not stop anything, which means the offense was never on the field. It was always the Cleveland Browns on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, James Robinson finishes as the RB3 on the week. Hallelujah.
Buzzing about this one.
To see that 15 carries, 88 yards and a touchdown, and also very involved in the passing game with 6 catches for 46 yards. This is the usage we should see for James Robinson.
Yeah.
This is what we should see.
This is definitely it. For me, I'm still shaky because this Cardinals defense, which it's weird. It's not consistent. It's not consistent right now. Obviously, week 1 went crazy.
Yeah.
Week 2, you saw it kind of diminish, and then this week it was just like flat,
non-existent.
Yeah, it was not there. So I want to see. I think James Robinson plays Thursday night against the Bengals, who actually, obviously, they gave up a lot of points to Najee, but that's more in the air. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes next week on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, agreed. This is obviously very encouraging if you have James Robinson, though, especially after the first couple weeks. Swift had a great game. Let's give some honorable mentions. Swift feels like He's such a high upside play because of the pass catch.
Every time I see Swift on the field, I know that Jared Goff wants to target him, and that he is going to get the ball. I'm comfortable starting Swift each week in and week out.
Yeah, I want Swift on my teams.
Yeah, if you can somehow get Swift, honestly, if you're out there. Another honorable mention is actually Alexander Madison. He played really well today. Obviously, Dalvin Cook was ruled out in the afternoon game.
This is a conversation we had a lot on this channel with start sits, and everyone who asked, should I start Madison? My question to them was, if you don't start him now, when will you start him? Otherwise, drop him. Like, if you're not going to play him, then just drop him, because this is literally why he's on your bench for this scenario. So hopefully you did play him. He had a great game. It definitely needs to be recognized. Peyton Barber, I don't know how that happened, but he also had a good game. I guess they decided to say, I know we just paid a good amount of money to a backup running back in Kenyon Drake, but screw Kenyon Drake. Let's bring in Peyton Barber on like a vet minimum who has done nothing and just give him all this work.
23 carries for 111 yards and a touchdown. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not going to continue, though.
It's not going to continue.
Can we agree?
100%. That's not going to continue, but that's crazy.
He's not going to be on our waiver wire,
no.
for example. Just quickly, I want to highlight Saquon, bounce back game, as well as Clyde and Antonio Gibson. Both had pretty good games. Is there anyone that you wanted to highlight before we move on?
No, those were the two. I was going to say Clyde, Gibson, and Saquon were my guys. Anyone you had in mind, Luke?
No, I think, seeing Kyle the juice check up there.
That was so funny. Watching Kyle Juszczyk play more snaps than any other running back. Everyone's like, who is a running back to own in San Francisco? And Kyle Shanahan's like, there is no running back to own in San Francisco. It's Kyle Juszczyk.
Energy, isn't it, from Kyle?
By the way, I know I just kind of saw this really random. Sony had 20 carries. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6 most carries in the week. Obviously, Darrell Henderson was out. It's just interesting. He felt efficient.
He wasn't very efficient, was he?
No, he wasn't efficient, but he felt like, okay, they're moving the ball. Sony, he can give you 3-4 yards. It looked good, but it wasn't exciting. But
front
I
seven
think
he's facing
Henderson's
as well.
still the guy.
Oh,
Like,
no-
I don't
no
think this
doubt
turns
about it.
into a
Yeah,
running
yeah.
back
No-
by committee.
no
Just in
doubt
case
about
anyone's
it.
curious.
Yeah,
I just wanted to highlight that Sony
Yeah.
with 20 touches. If that was Darrell, that would have been something nice, I think.
Yeah. Hey, if you're listening right now on the podcast, we want you to know that we actually live stream this podcast on YouTube and Twitch. YouTube.com/fantasylandfootball, twitch.tv/fantasylandfootball. And if you're in the chat right now, as we're recording this podcast, guess what? We have a podcast. It's called Fantasyland Football. You can
That's
find
right.
it on all platforms. But also, we will do a quick Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, drop them. We'll do a quick Q&A at the end and keep all the questions on the podcast for people to listen to. But let's move in to the cash wide receivers. Mike Williams. I was
Crazy.
not ready last week to say this is legit. I am still worried that there will be a trap game coming up, but I have to say, this is legit. 7 receptions on 9 targets, 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. And when he's in the red zone, let's say first and goal, Mike Williams is a go-to target right now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at what's happening, 12 targets week 1, 10 targets week 2, 9 targets week 3. It feels there. 22 points week 1, 22 points week 2, 33 week 3. I mean, you have to get this guy on your team.
1 on the week.
You have to get this guy on your team. It's clear that
would you be willing to trade him off of this high and get like or you just ride the train?
I think
don't
it depends.
mess up what you have.
Yeah, I think it depends. If this is like Mike Williams could get hurt, something's gonna happen. Maybe get like an A-Rob. I know A-Rob is somebody you can buy low right now. It's probably not doing the best.
You know what? I'm not even sure I would want
exactly
A-Rob over
I would
Mike
still
Williams,
want Mike Williams. Hey, shout out to I don't know. I just really thought about this. Mike Tagliere. He loved Mike Williams. This year.
Yeah.
He loved him. He spoke about him the whole time. He said he was going to be a fantasy sleeper here. Great value. But yeah, Mike Williams.
By the way, we haven't talked about that on the podcast. We talked about that on a live stream before. But if you're listening, obviously Mike Tagliere worked for Fantasy Pros and he passed away. We want to wish the best to his family. And I know that he impacted our lives a ton. Tags was the first analyst I ever listened to and realized that I could create something of my own to talk about the one game I love more than anything, which is fantasy. So although I never met him, he had a big impact on our lives, and just want to say praying for his family and, wishing them the best, sending them the most love.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he was big on Mike, and that's awesome to see that Mike is doing well. Devontae, this is not surprising. Devontae, Cooper Kupp, this isn't surprising. This is what we expect.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, that's not surprising. DK Metcalf up there isn't surprising. What is surprising is Emmanuel Sanders. Maybe we should talk about that.
Yeah.
5 receptions on 6 targets, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It feels like a good game. However, I feel like if you pick him up and you start him, you could regret it. It doesn't feel like a consistent play.
Yeah, it does. Well, yes. I think this was people's concern coming into this year with the Bills. Stephon Diggs was the only guy there. They had to bring in somebody. In our minds, coming into fantasy this year, Emmanuel Sanders was just it felt like a desperation signing. Oh, let's get Emmanuel, somebody competent, a little bit older. It's clear that he's being utilized, but 6 targets in total. I don't think that's terrible on this Washington defense that, quote unquote, is not supposed to be bad, but probably just had a bad game. I think it's something to consider.
Had a bad 3 weeks.
I think it's something to consider coming in. I think this is somebody I would like to target in the waiver wires if he is available.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably drop. I know a lot of people were holding on to a Amon-Ra, a Terrence Marshall,
I can't drop Terrace for Emmanuel Sanders personally.
Right. I'm just giving options. I'm
just saying, because some people might wonder if we're all on the same page with that one.
Right. I understand, especially with the whole Robbie ordeal. Now CMC is hurt. How long that's going to take, I completely understand. But Emmanuel Sanders is somebody I'm going to keep my eye on.
Mm-hmm. So the reason I'm a little skeptical is just because I think next week he could have a game where he has 2 catches and 10 yards. That wouldn't surprise me. But he did look great value. I mean, Jamar Chase, geez, I think safe to say we were wrong on this one. We were definitely
Yeah.
wrong on Jamar Chase so far.
You have Jamar Chase, don't you, Luke?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's balled out. Like, I mean, it's four touchdowns across 3 games now.
Yeah.
And that chemistry from college with Joe Burrow seems to be the difference maker.
I think sorry.
Sometimes it's so simple and we just make it so difficult. But this is so simple. How do we miss this?
I think what scares me is that he's not getting targeted as much. He's just finding the end zone, which is fine. It feels like an Adam Thielen effect. Adam Thielen is going to be getting in the end zone, but sometimes he won't get the targets. And if he doesn't find the end zone and they shut him down, he's completely irrelevant.
But to be fair, Jamar Chase was pretty heavily targeted the first 2 weeks, right? Or am I mistaking that?
Let me pull that up.
Let me look at his game log. No, you're right.
Yeah.
So 5, 4, and 7. So you're correct. He has not been targeted all that much. Yeah, that is an interesting storyline to follow for sure.
So I mean,
do you cash in on Jamar, or you just keep riding the train?
It depends on who I would give up.
Who you could cash in for?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question.
Yeah.
Are you trying to keep? Are you selling high right now?
I think my viewpoint on it is that the Bengals defense isn't that great. I think they've got a pretty tough schedule, so I feel like they're going to be coming up against teams where the game script is going to favor Joe having to throw the ball a lot. So I mean, that's why I like Chase. And again, for me, it's that chemistry that he has with Joe. Like, he might not be getting crazy targets right now, but he's looking to him in the final third of the field. You know what I mean? And for me, I know touchdown isn't the most reliable metric when you're in a pinch, but he's proven to be that guy towards the final third for Joe. So I would be fine.
You are that guy, bud. You are that guy.
Yeah, honestly.
I'll quickly name off a couple of performances that were interesting. Deshaun Jackson, that's not going to continue. Cole Beasley, that is interesting. Definitely watch that. Hunter Renfrow, I wanted to obviously point out Brandon Ayuk. It wasn't an amazing game, but this was very, very encouraging.
100%.
4 receptions on 6 targets, 37 yards and a touchdown.
If he would have caught that last touchdown or that touchdown he dropped, obviously he would have had
Could have been 2.
Even bigger boost, finishing above a lot of these guys.
It was a bad drop as well, that one. It was a bad drop.
But yeah, I completely agree.
Can we just pull up Cole Beasley's previous stats?
Yeah,
he's been targeted a lot.
Yeah. Because I remember he was a focal point of their offense last season as well. And he kind of went under the radar in drafts this year. I mean, 14 points week 1. He had a down week last week, but then 20 points this week. And if Josh Allen starts to continue his form from last year like he did this game, then he can definitely be on the cards for sure, because John Brown isn't around anymore.
30 total targets on the year for Cole Beasley.
That's crazy. He had 13 targets week 1, 13 targets week 3, and obviously 4 targets in week 2. That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely something that you could. I mean, he's probably on waivers. If he is, grab him. Depending on your league size. All right. Any other wide receivers you want to talk about before we go to tight ends?
I think Brandon Cooks had a great week this week. DJ Moore had a great week this week. Those are the guys that probably could have won your leagues. Tyler Boyd, in a flex position. I think we said to start him in the flex. So he did decent as well. So those are the guys I just kind of wanted to highlight really fast.
Yeah. I was going to say on Brandon Cooks, he is an absolute steal where you would have drafted him.
Oh, 100%.
Everyone was fading him because of the offense on the Texans under Tyrod Taylor. But even with Tyrod out, how many targets he got? 11 targets in the last game with Davis Mills. And
I'm disappointed in myself for not seeing that. Like, sometimes things happen in preseason, and you're looking at players and you're like, oh, no, I'm not interested in Cooks. That offense isn't going to be good. And sometimes it's so simple. Well, he's the only guy. And he's a great wide receiver. Tight ends are weird this week. It's a weird top, list of these tight ends. Number 1 is Tyler Conklin. 7 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown on 8 targets. Number 2, Mike Gesicki.
Hey.
10 receptions, 86 yards.
I dropped him.
I know.
Did you drop him?
He dropped him.
I dropped him like
in the follower league.
Game one, he dropped a goosey.
Uh-huh.
I dropped him, picked up Adam Troutman, and then he dropped a goosey on me. And then I dropped him, and I picked up Jared Cook. And what did Jared Cook get this week?
Jared Cook, what did he do this week? Not much. It's hard to find him.
Basically, in our follower league, I've had no luck whatsoever with tight ends. It's the conclusion.
Yeah, we had a couple people asking us, hey, do I trade Mike Gesicki for this player, that tight end? One of them was Gerald Everett, and I think we told everyone just hold Gesicki. Yeah. Let's see what the offense is going to look like. So that's panned out pretty well.
This was the week.
Does this continue with Gesicki?
I think this was. I told people that if there was one person I'm confident in starting on the Dolphins besides Myles Gaskins due to the quarterback play, it is Mike Gesicki, because I think he is the main target in this offense. This is the guy who has the most, not the most, I guess, experience with him. But I'm pretty sure we can hear that. Anyways,
sorry, we have our notifications on.
Notifications
on the podcast.
Yeah,
but thank you for the follow on Twitch.
Yeah, really appreciate you. Yeah, but I love Mike Gesicki. I still like him. He was my favorite guy coming in this Dolphins offense. So
you just combine the words Dolphins and offense.
Dolphins offense. But yeah, keep him. I say keep him. If not, sell high on him right now. Say, hey, Tua's going to come back soon. This is Tua's favorite target.
So inconsistent. Hey,
it's hard to do.
Honestly, Gesicki, you start him, but he's in that category of who knows what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I loved seeing Kittle back. 7 receptions on 9 targets, 92 yards. That's a much better stat line. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And once you start getting those touchdowns, Kittle comes back to that top 3 status. What happened? We might as well start with trash. As we're
it's probably easier.
About the tight ends.
There's definitely some 2 guys that I want to talk about. Yes,
TJ has to be on there.
TJ, and then for me, Kyle Pitts. But yeah, TJ only 2 targets for 10 yards. He didn't have the best, day.
Baltimore's defense played pretty well.
This is the game that I probably had to rewatch. I know you probably watched this game.
Oh yeah, I watched it in full, baby.
Did you notice were they just shutting them down? Like what?
Yeah, well, I think we'd identified that TJ was their number 1 target. Kind of their passing offense runs through him, which is interesting because previously we haven't done very well against tight ends. So I think we literally had Jimmy Smith come back from injury, who's one of our better corners at the moment with Marcus Peters out.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he shadowed him the whole game. So we actually had a
That's
corner
smart.
on their tight
Take
end.
out the best option.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going to continue. You can still start TJ weekly, I think.
This is definitely, I think this is going to be somebody on our trade for potentially. I need to look into it. It's probably really early, but this is somebody I would trade for. Take advantage right now. He had a terrible week.
Noah Fant.
Mm-hmm.
Another bad week.
Yeah.
Did not live up to the expectations. Under 4 points. Look, you're going to keep starting Noah Fant. He's still a good top 7 option each week. Yeah. Kyle Pitts, 2 receptions on 35 yards. Not what you wanted from Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, and obviously I watched this game. I thought he would be some sort of a distraction for us, but he wasn't. He didn't get targeted, I think, if I'm not mistaken, until the end of the 3rd quarter in this game. Yeah. They didn't utilize him. It was terrible. When they went to the goal line, he actually ran off the field. And the whole time they tried to throw the ball, and then they ended up throwing it to like a 3rd-string tight end.
Although there were a couple opportunities in the red zone for Kyle Pitts when I was watching.
And then that's when they came back to it in the second time. In the 4th quarter, but yeah, it was terrible. I was really disappointed because I do have Kyle Pitts in one of my leagues. He's just not looking. They're just not utilizing him in the right way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think they're going to figure this out with Kyle Pitts. Give it time. If you own Kyle Pitts, don't sell him. I'm keeping him. Are you selling Kyle Pitts right now? I personally think you can.
I think in a redraft potentially. I want to see what I can get for him. Maybe somebody that doesn't like a Tyler Higbee, which I doubt that's going to happen. Tyler Higbee, he's been really inconsistent. It's clear that Cooper Kupp is the number 1 guy there. A TJ Hawkinson, I would try to sell right now. Hey, TJ, I don't know. Or buy. It's really hard to see who I can buy for right now, how I can sell Kyle Pitts, but I'm going to definitely shop him for sure. I just don't see the consistency coming anytime soon, and if it is, it will probably be the last 5 weeks, where by that time I don't really care.
Personally, I still believe in Kyle Pitts. So this might be a good opportunity if you feel the same way to buy him if someone is worried about him. Top 4 pick in the NFL draft. Yeah, it was the Giants defense. Maybe this was game plan. He's been heavily targeted in the other weeks. Mm-hmm. So I would be looking to cash in if someone is worried about Kyle Pitts. Let's go to quarterbacks and talk about the trash quarterbacks this week. Those who just did not live up to expectations. Justin Fields has to be at the top of that list. A guy I started in mini leagues.
Yeah, he didn't.
It just didn't work out. They could not protect him to save his life. We saw what Tyrod did last week, and I would like to think that the Bears' offensive line is just as good as the Texans, but obviously that's not true.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Justin Fields just never had any time to feel comfortable. I think they sacked him 9 times.
That's crazy.
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. I did that as well. I did that last week.
Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks. That's a team record.
Yeah. It didn't look too good.
It was, they could not do anything to protect him. I felt so bad watching that game.
Yeah, I obviously there's a handful of guys that didn't do well, but Justin Fields, just didn't have no time. I guess just really quick fire people that I thought that you could start with confidence. A Teddy against the Jets, only 11 points. Daniel Jones, obviously against the Falcons.
That was a big letdown.
He got 16 points, but it's still, you expected a little bit more from him. Who else?
Let me ask you, do you expect Daniel Jones to be a weekly starter, or is he still in that streaming category? Probably streaming category,
I think
right?
Streaming QB2 category in a 2 quarterback league. And then also Kyler Murray. He had 2 really good games week 1 and 2. He still got you 18 points, but it was still a letdown. Yeah. I have Kyler Murray in the league. And it was like, he should be playing good against the Jags. Letdown. He threw a couple picks, or a pick, if I'm not mistaken. It was clear that they were running the ball. James Conner, I think Chase Edmonds, he ran in for a touchdown as well. Just didn't break that 25-point threshold you were, I guess, kind of expecting.
Yeah. I still feel good about Kyler going forward. I think there's probably, if not no options better, 1 or 2 better than Kyler. Still top 3, and you have to start him each week. Don't question it. I know it's weird against that matchup, but you have to start Kyler. It's clear. Let's talk about running backs. Running backs who just did not perform. Does anyone have anyone in particular that comes to mind based off of their own play, their own matchups?
Be disappointed with David Montgomery's performance. Cleveland obviously have a pretty great D line, but Monty looked really explosive against Rams D line, who are also really good. So you'd be disappointed. He's in that low end RB1, higher end RB2 category. So to get that kind of production from him, you'd be definitely disappointed with that one.
Yeah. Obviously that the situation with Justin Fields, they were just never on the field. That's 100%. Not fun, but they were literally just never on the field.
Yeah, I think,
and that unfortunately affected David Montgomery as well.
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind that I know we told a lot of people to start due to the matchup was Tyson Williams.
Yeah, that's a good one to point out.
He didn't really do anything this week. It was really disappointing. You expected him to kind of at least get you 10 points.
Yeah.
2.2 points. They only ran the ball 5 times with him.
Yeah.
It
Why? Because, Luke, I know you're a Ravens fan, so you would watch that game in full.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
This is a terrible run defense.
It was
How are you running the ball that little amount of times?
Honestly, it was almost as if our offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, came out and earmarked this game to practice our passing. like our passing offense.
And
that's almost what it was like.
That's what I was going to say. I was just like, well, actually, maybe they thought the weakness was a passing game. If Hollywood caught those balls, the weakness is the passing. Well,
defense.
I
was saying to you that if you'd watched that game in full,
the defense.
If you'd watched that game in full and you'd seen Lamar's passing, he was throwing dots everywhere. And he was actually, I think he just saw that Greg Roman thought, okay, maybe we're going to use this opportunity. And if Hollywood Brown had not had Butterfingers, then we would have definitely had at least 2 or 3 passing touchdowns. But yeah, I think that's what it was. It was kind of, we saw an opportunity to maybe work on a weakness of ours or what's seen as a weakness, and he just didn't really get in the game after that.
Yeah, frustrating, but I mean, what can you do? I think Tyson's a guy that you can potentially start based off matchup, but it doesn't feel like a smash start anymore.
Yeah, that one just like threw everyone off with Tyson. Next week is going to be hard to tell people to start Tyson Williams. Another guy I can see here is Jonathan Taylor, 8 points, 10 carries, 64 yards. He did find the end zone, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't find the end zone.
But he was extremely efficient.
10 for
they should have gone to him more in this game.
If you
10 carries, 64 yards, like they should have hit him up more. I'm not worried about Jonathan Taylor. A lot of people are. I'm not in that camp, but I think you might be, Badaki.
It's not that I'm not worried. It's okay. These are what I'm frustrated about or scarce about when it comes down to these running backs is that you drafted him with such high draft capital. Some people, in some leagues, don't get me wrong, they drafted him from 5 all the way to 12, the RB 5 to 12, which that's really high. You expected him to be giving you those minimum points week in and week out. Minimum 15 points, to where like he only had one good game. The past 2 games, week 1, 17 points, week 2, 16, week 3, 18. He was efficient this past week. Against the Titans, but still, I'm
he didn't
scared.
Get 18 points this week, did he?
No. So 18. I think that's
18 points week 1.
18 points week
17.6 week 1.
Sorry. But yeah, I think I'm scared about that. That's the only thing I'm scared about is that like I drafted him with such high draft capital that he's not performing for me, and you're probably losing. You're probably lost. You're probably 0-2, 1-2 because of Jonathan Taylor.
I get it. I get the worry. I just think it's too early to give up on a guy like Jonathan Taylor, especially because of how efficient he's been. Nick Chubb, I mean, look, Nick Chubb didn't have a good game.
No.
But it's, when you look at the point totals between Chubb and Taylor, it's not all that different. But I still feel good about Chubb because of the offense and because of his role.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think you saw, I watched part of that game as well. It was just unlucky, Kareem Hunt came in and he just so happened to fall into the end zone. They were still utilizing Nick Chubb. I thought there was a time where Chubb was going to get that touchdown, but it just became unlucky there.
Yeah. Is there any other running backs you want to talk about that had bad weeks? Move on to wide receiver.
Yeah, not necessarily bad weeks. I think obviously I just wanted to talk about Gibson, but maybe Luke has one. Gibson, in my opinion, I'm scared. Yes, he had the big run. Yes, he finished with 17 points. I just don't know if I can trust him moving forward, in my opinion. If you take away the big run, he didn't do anything for me. He didn't do anything for me. It probably was game script. It was against the Bills, which is a tough defense. But I would have to do the subtract that run and then see how many points he would finish and where he would finish. But I'm just scared. I'm still scared.
Here's the thing, right? Gibson is that electric of a player where subtracting runs like that don't make sense to me because he could do that every week. There are some players who have plays like that, and you're like, look, they don't really have that in their game anymore.
I think it's the same thing with
but Gibson can do that every week, and he plays Atlanta next week. I don't think this is time to panic. I think this is time to be okay, and you smash stardom next week against Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree. I can definitely. I see where you're coming from. If he doesn't perform against Atlanta, who is a amazing start for him, then I think that's where you can really say, okay, Gibson is probably not this person that we thought he would be as a top. I mean, I saw him as a top 5 running back. top 8
Really?
running back coming into this year.
Okay.
Top 5, top 8, and it doesn't feel like he's going to finish anywhere near that.
Okay.
Do you have anyone, Luke?
Luke, did you have one?
No, I would just like to point out kind of the interesting situation between Cordell Patterson and Mike Davis.
Yeah.
That's grown into something maybe a little bit concerned for Mike Davis owners. I mean, Patterson didn't do too well on the ground, but he's getting a lot of targets. He has 7 targets again today, and he's been efficient with that work as well. 82 yards of 6 receptions. I mean, so that's an interesting development.
100%.
It feels like they're almost using them the same way.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the targets and the carries, it's like they are the running back by committee.
Yeah.
But
they
people
are
don't
one
see
person.
Cordell Patterson as a running back.
Yeah. So
It's so
weird.
funny. They're actually one person, but you can get
If you
double
could
point.
put Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson together, they would be like a very good fantasy running back. Unfortunately, you can't do that. No, that's definitely an interesting thing to bring up. All right, let's finish with trash wide receivers.
All right.
People
let's
who
see.
did not live up to expectations. You started them with confidence, and you look back on it and you think, "Wow, that did not work out." Did anyone stand out to you guys?
There's a bunch I'm seeing here. I can see Roberto Woods, Tyler Lockett, he did get hurt. Julio Jones, Hollywood Brown, he had a great matchup. Cortland Sutton had a great matchup. These are guys that all got under 8 points or less. It was very disappointing. These are guys that you hoped could win your leagues. Obviously, AJ Brown was as well, but he got hurt.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different.
I need to make a public apology for telling people to start Rondale Moore this week. I don't know what happened.
Rondale Moore,
Genuinely,
exactly.
I don't know what happened. I think we both said that, but I'll take the L on this. Look, they didn't utilize him, and I don't understand why. Because it's not as if they blew out the Jags, and it's not as if they didn't need him. So this really confuses me. I saw really great improvement in his target share from week 1 to 2 and his snap count. So I'm going to have to look at the numbers afterwards and figure out why. But I started Rondale Moore in some leagues. Thank God it didn't kill me. I ended up winning some of those leagues, but it's not a good performance, and you can't start him with confidence, going forward, unfortunately. KJ Osborne is someone that people might have felt confident starting in. He got under 5 points. Same with Allen Robinson. That was very much, because of what happened in that game.
Sterling, but he got hurt as well. I think that was a letdown. Besides his injury, not besides his injury, he just let people down because he got hurt. But a lot of people started him with confidence this week.
Yeah,
which sucks.
Anyone come to mind for you, Luke, in particular that you maybe started in your leagues or anything like that?
Yeah, D-Hop is one that comes to mind. I think it was a tough one with D-Hop because obviously he had the rib injury and is he not going to play all week? And I had the decision am I going to start him? Because I could have started some other people. I mean, Tyler Boyd was one. I think I even had Cordell Patterson, who I could have started in my flex above him. But I just could not bring myself to do it. It's like that whole part of you start your studs. It kind of felt a bit of a decoy on the field in the end. Kirk was getting a lot of the targets and needed most of the receiving work, but I know it was just most likely.
And maybe this is the connection we can make with Rondale. Maybe that has something to do with it. The fact that D-Hop was not playing his normal role, which maybe hurts Rondale's opportunity to play the role they established for him.
I would have to look into it, but I think they came into this game wanting to run the ball. I would have to see how Chase performed. I know Chase had a couple good runs. I know James Conner found the end zone.
Yeah.
So maybe they came in and was like, you know what, we're going to establish the run game. We've been torching everyone in the air, but the run probably hasn't been as efficient. So maybe that's something that they came in wanting to do.
Yeah. All right. There's a lot of questions here in the chat. Was there anyone else, quickly, that we wanted to talk about, either cash or trash on the week?
Tyreek Hill didn't have a great week.
Yeah, Tyreek
10 points.
Under
2 weeks
10
in a
points. Yeah. Terry, he had 10 points. Still a little bit disappointing for a guy that's probably a wide receiver 1. That's about it. I mean, Stephon Diggs, 12 points. You hope that he gets at least 15 to 20 points. He got 12. That's still
at least these guys didn't kill you. You
know?
Exactly.
At least they didn't do crazy terrible, but it's still like we know that they can do better.
Yeah, I get that.
That's a disappointing part.
I get that. I would say it's week 3. I know you've probably heard this before, but don't panic on too many players. Gibson has a great matchup coming up this week against Atlanta. I'm trying to think of other people. We told people don't panic on Clyde just yet. Clyde had a better game. There's been a lot of players that people are like, oh my God, what do I do? I don't want to rely on this player anymore. That's why Jonathan Taylor comes into that category for me. Same with Nick Chubb. I'm not worried about these guys. I'm still confident in them. But should we potentially answer some questions in the chat? If you're listening on the podcast, we're going to take the next 10 minutes and just answer as many of these chat questions as possible. And then we will end the podcast. We will also have waiver wires on YouTube tomorrow. You'll be able to see those. But let's just go ahead and start. We'll start from the most recent ones. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of questions in the chat. We'll try and get to as many as possible. A-Rob, we did talk about Allen Robinson. There is reason for concern with Allen Robinson.
There's definitely reason for concern. I think that offensive line and just the offensive line. Can Justin Fields have enough time to even throw him the ball? That's the most concerning part. There is definitely reason to be concerned.
There's reason for concern, but maybe he's a hold candidate because not a lot of people would give you good value for him right now. Unfortunately, I don't imagine anyone feeling confident enough to trade for him as if he's a star.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a question over on Twitch, and it says, should I wait for CMC updates before I try to trade him? We did hear an update, and again, this could change, but the latest update that we heard was it was better than a grade 1 sprain, which means that it'll probably only be a week or 2.
Yeah, I think better or less, I don't know. So if it's less than a grade 1 sprain, that means
the same thing.
Means nothing. But it's depending on how long he can recover. It feels like right now he'd be out 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'd say a minimum a week. His game was on Thursday. He's going to have 10 days rest before his next game. So if you take out that game and just roll that out, and then the next game after that, you're talking nearly 2 weeks. So
nearly 2 weeks just for him to miss one game. I think it's a good opportunity for him to come back in week 5. I wonder who he plays, but I think you can definitely start shopping. Don't go crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, nearly 3 weeks, not 2 weeks. That's shocking mass for me. That's nearly 3 weeks.
And here's what I would say as well in the CMC situation. If you are 2-0 or now 3-0 and you have CMC, there's no way you should be shopping him around.
Yeah, agreed.
You just don't need to do that. But if you're 0-3 and you need to win these next 2 games, that's when I would consider shopping CMC. If I'm 1-2 or 0-3, that's when I'm considering shopping CMC. But you don't sell him for nothing. You get elite value because he will be the best running back when he comes back again. He will be.
Yeah.
So you don't sell him for nothing. Should I sell Cooper Kupp high? That's an interesting one.
I think you should sell Roberto Wood.
Ride the train, or you can't sell Bobby Trees right
Stay on that train for Cooper
you
Kupp.
need to stay on the train. Don't worry about it. Keep him. He's the number 1. I'm pretty sure he's number 1 receiver in total in fantasy
right now.
He is, yeah.
So you keep the number 1 guy, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it looks like that's just going to continue to trend that way. Jesus, it's just I'm waiting for the week where he doesn't have over 10 targets and
we watched
12 targets, 9. Is that? Did he put up 2 touchdowns again?
Yeah,
this week?
yeah. He was almost like the first person that
every
Stafford
time
was looking at every play.
I think I need to read. This is a game I need to rewatch as well. I caught more towards the end, the third quarter, and he just kept throwing it to Cooper Kupp. It's like there's no one else there. It's just him. It's literally just him.
That's so frustrating. I think you start Bobby Trees, though, if anyone's curious. I think you probably don't have a better flex option than Bobby Trees to start.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what I can get for Roberto. Because maybe someone like you that's in our league I could potentially sell him like, oh, well, he's still valuable. So it's going to be interesting. I
still see value in Bobby Trees. He might be a buy low candidate for me. He's not as valuable as Kupp, obviously, but I still see value. There is a question from Chris here. He says, thoughts on James Robinson, start of a comeback. We did talk about that earlier in the podcast.
Yeah.
There is reason for hope. finishes as the RB3. And I think Urban Meyer might have realized, hey, this is probably our most talented player outside of Trevor Lawrence. Maybe we should get him touches. Super efficient with his touches.
Yeah.
And very involved in the passing game. I don't imagine you can trade James Robinson because of the inconsistencies. Like, the value you'll get back isn't going to be enough. So I think you have to hold and just hope that this is a sign of good things to come. I just don't imagine anyone really wanting to go after
I think you could
James Robinson.
I think you could package James Robinson if you wanted to sell him high right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe package James and a Darrell for a Chubb that probably didn't have the best game. I don't know if somebody would take that. Maybe that's probably not the best trade offer right now. But
Well, I was going to ask, if you're a James Robinson owner, someone offers you Kareem Hunt, would you take that?
yeah, I would rather have Kareem Hunt.
Zach?
No, I would keep James Robinson because I know the volume's going to be there weekly.
I know
At
the
least I
volume.
expect it now because they see this is how we can get close in games.
Well, you already know the volume is going to be there with Kareem Hunt.
I know that he's going to have similar volume, but he's not going to be the guy every week. There's going to be weeks where Kareem Hunt has 4 points. That's just the reality.
Yeah, I think I just
And he only has six attempts.
yeah, I just feel more confident trading for or having Kareem Hunt on my team than James Robinson. One game,
I understand
it needs to just see more consistent where Kareem.
Well, hold on. What's Kareem Hunt done this year? Maybe
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I could be wrong as well.
first
honestly.
game
Week
of the
one,
season, I think
he
he's
had
about
6
18.
attempts. He got a touchdown. He only had 6 attempts. Week 2, 13 attempts, ends up with 6 points. So I think we are possibly focusing too much on this week with Kareem Hunt. It's not as if Kareem Hunt's been a fantastic fantasy option, every week. He was good week 1,
sure.
good week 2, but
I just know
week-
he
or
can
sorry,
be
week 3.
utilized. I know that Kareem Hunt can be utilized, and when he's on the field, he can produce. Where James Robinson, not that he can't produce when he's on the field, I just don't know if this week James Robinson should be utilized, but he just didn't. He just wasn't. I think that's the frustration.
Okay. I see it both ways. I don't think obviously there's going to be a wrong answer, but I see it both ways and I understand. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where we are here. Someone said, I wanted your input on Hines versus Taylor. I don't know if you said it. I got a call. Look, with the Hines-Taylor situation, Hines is only going to be valuable. It's not consistent. It's just the definition of let's hope that he gets the work this week. It's just not going to be a consistent play. I still prefer Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do prefer Jonathan Taylor as well. Naeem Hines kind of up and down. I think it's somebody you should definitely keep on your bench just in case somebody gets hurt or something happens, honestly.
Yeah, he's a pinch flex player, I feel like, just because of that lack of consistency.
Someone asked about Clyde in the chat, and I guess we should quickly talk about that because if there's a player I'm potentially trying to sell high, it's Clyde. For me, I just don't think they need him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we watched the game in full last week against the Ravens, and there was just Mahomes just constantly looking downfield, wasn't he? He was barely ever looking at Clyde, and he rolled into the end zone on the back of a reception today. But how often is that going to happen?
I mean, you're right.
Yeah, and how often is he going to get that many attempts?
Yeah.
That's not common.
He only had 3 more attempts than week 1. If you really look into it, obviously 4 more attempts from week 2 against Baltimore. I feel like the carries are a little bit consistent. It's just how much he can do with that.
Yeah.
17 carries for 100 yards. He averaged nearly 6 yards.
Yeah, very efficient
per
today.
carry. So, and I would assume that the Ravens and Chargers defense I feel like they're kind of really close. Head to head.
So did they play the Ravens next or something?
No, they played. I'm saying they played the Ravens last week.
Oh, okay.
And the Chargers, and the Ravens and Chargers defense, I feel like are pretty similar.
For sure, yeah.
So it's just when can he be efficient?
Yeah.
I think the opposite, just quickly, the opposite side of that coin is without that touchdown, people are worried about Clyde still.
Yeah. I think it's the draft capital.
Same thing with Gibson.
Which comes into it. It relates to Gibson as well because with Clyde you got in the second. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the first 2 weeks, you don't really expect that from your RB2. You're like...
Yeah, you're right. But you also don't expect Clyde to do really good against Cleveland, Baltimore, or the Chargers. You know, like the Washington. Well, you play the Chargers. So
why do we not expect him to do well against Baltimore when DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams just shredded them?
I think that's different because you don't have Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill.
Well, it doesn't matter because this is the team that he's on.
I know that. I understand that. I just think for me, I would still rather have Clyde with the upside of the team. Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift is complete. I would rather have them, maybe Swift over Clyde. But I think everyone else.
No one's going to give you. I would definitely do that. I would definitely prefer to have Swift over Clyde. Yeah, and I hear you when you say I'd probably be looking to be trading Gibson. For me, I feel more strongly about trying to trade Clyde. I don't think they need him, and as efficient as he was, they didn't win the game.
Yeah, they didn't
this way.
Yeah.
What kind of value would you look for?
I was about to look at that myself right now because I saw a couple questions there in the chat. So right now, honestly, it's funny. I would actually prefer a Kareem Hunt. It's it's interesting that we say that.
Wow.
I would prefer a Kareem Hunt.
I would still rather have Clyde.
I would prefer a Darrell Henderson. I would prefer a Chris Carson, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery. Those are some names potentially that you could.
Someone like that.
A Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds, I would still prefer Clyde because I think he's connected to the better offense.
I think for me, why I really hold on to Clyde is because this offense, like, can switch.
Yeah, it's so explosive.
It can switch, and once Clyde is being realized, Clyde is on a roll, which it seems like he was on a roll this game. So continue to utilize him, and I think longevity and like this offense is just they can score 3-4 touchdowns and be up on a team. All right, Clyde, go for it. Like, just keep running the ball. Obviously, that's not the case right now.
It doesn't happen though.
In these past couple games, it hasn't happened.
They're never like,
really close.
Oh, we're good now, Clyde, go ahead. They're just like, no, let's just keep shoving it down their throats.
And I also saw a stat I think it was last week, that the Chiefs haven't won by more than one score in something like their past 8 games or their past 9 games or something wild like that.
Defense isn't amazing.
I actually think, not that they're getting found out, but a lot of teams have played Mahomes and they know what he's going to be doing, and it feels like they're getting a grasp a little bit. Not saying that every team can beat them now. It's just more like they have a little bit of like an understanding. They know he's talented. They know he's going to run across, run towards the sideline and throw in the middle of the field. They actually have a protection for that now. Like, it's weird. I don't know what, I'm not saying it's legit, but I think it's actually pretty true that they have a protection. Like, they know, okay, like, let's not do that.
What's the protection for a broken play? I don't understand.
Cover the middle of the field.
There's no protection for a broken. Look, I think I just can't wait till it's end of the year and the Chiefs are like the 2 or 3 seed and everyone's like, oh, oops. The Chiefs are still great. Patrick Mahomes still Patrick Mahomes.
I still believe they're going to make the 1st or 2nd seed.
Yeah,
I definitely do believe that. I just think that teams
I think
are understanding.
People are just taking massive victory laps right now on the Chiefs, and I'm like, okay, do your thing. There's a lot of questions, guys, and I wish we could answer all of them right now. Just to be 100% transparent with you, we're in Sydney, Australia, and we have been up since 3 a.m. It's now almost 3 p.m. So we have been watching football, covering football on this channel for almost an entire half of a day. We are definitely worn out, but what I can tell you is that we go live a lot. So and we answer questions a lot, Q&As all the time. So subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch. We'd be happy to answer your questions in the future. But for now, for the sake of me not passing out, I think we should end the podcast here.
Yeah, look, everyone, thank you so much for coming through with your questions. Hey, if you want, jump into our Discord. We have a Discord in our link in the description below.
I'll pop that into the chat.
Yeah, solo.to/fantasylandfootball. Ask all your questions there. The community there is pretty great. I see a lot of people in the community right now. Gator fan. I think Logan's in there as well, if I'm not
Discord's
mistaken.
a great place to ask all your questions.
Yeah, you can ask all your questions.
Very good community there.
And it's pretty pump. Obviously, Kieran's in there as well. So come on the Discord, and we can probably answer some of your questions on there. If not, we're gonna, like Zach said, we're gonna be going live, all the time
Throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you want,
and by the way, we do answer all start sit questions Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on both Twitch and YouTube. But huge love.
Thank you,
we
Luke.
will see you. Yeah, thanks for joining, Luke.
Always.
I think
always a pleasure, gents.
Next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals.
It is indeed.
You mean that we'll cover live?
Yes, that's the next Thursday night game, and then I think
you've got Tom Brady's return to the Patriots next.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But hey, all love y'all. We really appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. A lot of cool videos coming out. All love y'all.
All right, doses.